is Lisa's Movie Reviews. Today I'm reviewing Dune, and I got my little stopwatch on so I don't go over the time, so I don't get to upload this video. Now, I'm reviewing Dune, as I said, made in 1984, directed by David Lynch, and it's based on the book Dune by Frank Herbert. Now, I grew up watching the theatrical version of Dune by David Lynch, and I had never read the book until recently, till last month. I really wanted to read the book. My brother recommended it so many times, and I do. I do love it. It was a good book. It was a quick read for me. I swept right through it. And I also bought the sequel to it, Dune Messiah and Children of the Dune. I'm still reading Dune Messiah. Now, I have not seen Dune, the miniseries on TV. I have not seen Children of the Dune, the one that had, I think it was James McAvoy in it. I have not seen the TV versions of this. And I know they're making another Dune, another new Dune. I think Javier Bardem's playing Stilgar, and Timothy Chalamet, is that how you say his name? That French actor is playing Paul Atreides, whatever. Who, I think they said Jason Momoa is playing Duncan Idaho, which I for some reason, I just can't, I don't see that. When I read the book in the movie, I don't see Jason Momoa as that, but he might bring something new. I think it might be interesting. So, I've tried to make this video several times because I've tried to explain the summary of this movie and the story, and it's really hard to explain without getting confused myself, you know. It's a complex story, and how do you explain something so damn complex? And I just couldn't do it. I'm like, they're not going to understand what I'm saying to them. But I'll just read what the back says, and I'll give you an idea what it's about. It's set on the desert planet Arrakis, also called Dune. Dune is the story of the boy Paul Atreides, who would become known as Muad, and of a great family's ambition to bring to fruition humankind's most ancient and unattainable dream. Now, see, I got my notes here, so I don't want to forget anything. Paul Atreides is supposed to be, it's foreseen that he is this universe's super being called the Kwisatz Haderach. And he's supposed to, how did they say it? I'm trying to remember. He's supposed to bring the planets in the universe out of darkness, and specifically on the planet of Arrakis, Dune. There's no water, it's just Dune, it's just desert. That he's supposed to bring life to this place that is foreseen as a prophecy among these people who live on the Dune. They're called the Fremen, and it's a prophecy of theirs that this person will come and save them, and save this planet, and make it a livable place. And that's who he is. But he has to deal with betrayals in his family, other royal families trying to kill them and ruining other planets, and also dealing with this new tribe he has to be part of. And him and his mother join the Fremen and teach them how to defeat the Harkonnens, which are essentially the bad guys. The bad guys of the story. Freaky people, I'll tell you. So I know that's not a good summary. It's kind of, like I said, it is so hard to explain without confusing myself. I mean, hell, I grew up watching this movie, so why do I don't even understand what I'm saying either. But let me just give you the typical stuff. It was directed by David Lynch in 1984 in Mexico City, Mexico. The screenplay was written by David Lynch. It's based on Frank Herbert's book Dune from 1965. Kyle MacLachlan plays Paul Atreides / Muad. Francesca plays Lady Jessica, his mother. Everett McGill, one of my favorite actors, plays Stilgar. Patrick Stewart plays Gurney Halleck, and Sean Young plays Chani, which is Paul Atreides' lover. You know, and Gurney Halleck, who Patrick Stewart plays, is one of his most loyal, and he was very loyal to his father, one of his friends. Stilgar is the leader of the Fremen, the desert people who live there. And Lady Jessica, like I said, is his mom. Now, this movie got really bad reviews. and negative reviews, and you know what? I have never gave a shit what critics say about movies, ever. I don't look and say, well, what do they think? Then I'll base my opinion on that. I have never done that my entire life. Movies that they say are the worst damn movies ever made, I don't agree. I don't see it. I don't see it. And then they have movies saying this is the best movie ever made. I don't see it either. So I don't put a lot of stock into what movie critics say. I don't want to be disrespectful toward them. Everyone has their own opinion. But I have my own opinion too, and I a lot of times don't agree. But this was heavily panned, this movie. I think they're trying to say that you're trying to be like Star Wars too much. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's set in the future, yes. It's set in a different planet, yes, but it's not like Star Wars. This is a whole new, refreshing story. Well, it's not new. It's from 1965. But for me, reading the book and then watching the movie, it's so much. I mean, I like it so much more now. But like I said, most critics were very negative towards Dune, except for Harlan Ellison. In his 1989 book of film criticisms, he says that the $42 million production failed because critics were denied screenings, a decision by Universal that, according to Ellison, made the film's community feel nervous and negative towards Dune. So to me, it was like they are pissed off that they didn't get to see it early or see screenings of it, so now they're going to give it negative reviews. To me, that feels like that's bullshit. You don't base your opinion on a movie because you didn't see it when you wanted to see it. But part of it, I can understand why they're negative. The special effects are something to be desired, but I don't think they were that bad, honestly. I mean, it wasn't that bad to me. Now, I have this DVD that has the theatrical version and the extended edition. This is the cover. I think in that, if something clicks and it gets dim in here, that's my overhead light. It's might click off soon. So if all of a sudden it goes dim, it's not your computer, it's the light in here. And this is the back. And I have not watched these special features yet. I've been too immersed in the theatrical and the extended. It has deleted scenes. Why didn't you put that in extended edition? Designing Dune, Dune FX, Dune models and miniatures, and Dune wardrobe and design. Now, like I keep saying, I grew up with the theatrical version. That's all I ever knew, you know. So, and I've seen that way before I read the book. So people can get their own ideas, imaginations reading the book. But for me, I saw the movie way before the book, so when I think of things when I'm reading that book, well, this book, the movie popped into my head. But it's hard for me to say, do I prefer the book to the movie? There are things about the book I much prefer than the movie, but there's a lot of things in the movie I prefer than the book. In the book, Paul Atreides is 15, and he's a little jackass. He's a jerk. He's like an egomaniac, and why is that so loud? Sorry. But this to me was, I mean, like I said, he was a little pain in the ass. There it goes. I'm sorry. Darn it. And in the movie, he was a lot more bearable, and obviously much more older. I think MacLachlan was maybe in his early 20s. In 1984, I'm not totally sure. Now, see, I made a little thing here about the difference. Let me check my time. Okay, the difference between the theatrical and the extended. And I have to say, because David Lynch did not want anything to do with the extended edition. He doesn't really want anything to do with Dune. People are begging him for a director's cut. I want a director's cut. I want like Blade Runner. I want a final cut. All the extended, all the deleted scenes in it, please. But he did not want the extended edition. He was proud of his theatrical version, and he should be. It wasn't as bad as people say it is. But the extended, to me, I like a little bit more. I'm sorry, but he refused to acknowledge it. So instead of saying it's directed by David Lynch, it says it's directed by Alan Smithy. And that's just a pseudonym by directors who disown their work. So, at first, I'm like, who's Alan Smithy? And I was like, why does that sound so familiar? I'm like, oh, that's what directors use when they don't want to own up to that work. That has nothing to do with me, don't credit me, and they use different names. So, now, theatrical, here's the difference that I can remember. Theatrical is narrated by Princess Irulan, who's played by Virginia Madsen. And in the extended, it's narrated by some, I don't know, some unknown, maybe it's not unknown, but some male actor. And I thought I read somewhere that it was narrated by Frank Herbert. And I was like, why would I think that? He died in 1986. I don't think he really had anything to do with the movie. I don't know. But in the extended, the prologue is much more longer. It's much more detailed. And I really liked that. And there's much more narrations throughout the movie to help you understand things. But it's not a pain in the butt like the voiceover for, or the narration for the Blade Runner director's cut. We didn't need that. But this one, it gets really confusing, so you need it. And let me see. Let's see. There's a cut scene in the theatrical from Reverend Mother and the Emperor. That is in the extended. In the theatrical, there's a longer scene with Baron Harkonnen's doctor. And there's a longer scene, there's a scene where Baron Harkonnen kills the servant boy. And this is something I read too that a lot of critics didn't like, that Baron Harkonnen, and it's very much implied in the book that he is a homosexual, he's gay. But the thing is, that was something about one of the people who reviewed this movie. They did not like it. They says he's clearly homosexual. And what are you saying? He's gay because he's got AIDS or something, because he's got these really weird sores all over his face and arms, and it's not really explained. And I don't even think in the book he had that. He's big. He has to float. He has this device that he makes him float because he can't walk. But I don't remember if he has those sores in the book. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But in the movie he does. They didn't like that. It's like, oh, you're just saying he's gay, so he has to have AIDS. It's like, well, I didn't see it that way. Whatever. In the movie theatrical, Baron Harkonnen spits on Jessica. That's not in the extended. Jessica, Aaliyah, and the Reverend Mother have a reaction to Paul taking the water of life. In the theatrical, that's not in the extended. Now here's things that are in the extended that was not in theatrical. There's a longer discussion between Jessica and the Reverend Mother. There's a sort of love scene between Duke Leto and Jessica, where she tells him she's pregnant with his daughter. There's a scene with Gurney playing music. There's a longer scene with Shade Out Maps. That's a character played by Linda Hunt. There's a scene with Duke and Paul before the attack. The extended has longer scenes with Paul and his father, Duke Leto, and I really liked it. I really preferred it more in the book. In theatrical, there was not that much interaction. In the extended, there was a good dose of it, and I really liked it. Then, let me see. I gotta watch my time. There's a longer scene with Harkonnen, Paul, and Jessica and Piter after they've been kidnapped during the attack. Fade, is a character that Sting plays, removes Duke's patch. I think it was a hawk patch, his house insignia, I think. Maybe it's a hawk. I can't remember right now. Paul fights and kills a character named Jameis. He's a Fremen that he fought. He bested him. He wanted to fight. Jameis wanted to fight Paul to make up for getting knocked out, and when Paul fights him, he kills him. There's a scene where Jameis is cremated and his water is removed, the water of his life. The water he collects in his still suit. If they sweat, they collect the water because water is precious on Dune. And Paul sees how the water of life is made. I always wondered that watching theatrical. And there's more scenes with the Fremen, which I loved. Thurfer Hawat's death. And Paul takes Irulan as a wife at the end and tells Chani that Irulan is not a wife, but she's a concubine. My time's almost up. I want to say I liked the acting in this movie. I liked the visual effects. Like I said, it wasn't something really special, but I didn't think it was that bad. I have to say I do prefer the extended. I do. There's much more storyline. There's much more things. The Fremen. There's just more. But to me, it's like, if it's extended, shouldn't you have like deleted scenes in it? I like the music. I I like the costume. I like the production. I think it's a lot better than the critics gave it negative reviews for. I like it. I grew up on it. Some of my favorite movies. But to say theatrical and extended, I prefer the extended. But I'm going to give this movie a B-. And, you know, I wanted to give us something better, but it does get kind of confusing at times. But then some people say it's not that confusing. But if I were you, I would watch the extended. Watch the theatrical, watch the extended version if you can. Read the book if you can, too. I mean, I'd read the book first. And then maybe you won't need to watch Dune. But, like I said, I grew up with the movies first, and then I watched read the books last. That's always been me. So, that's my review. I like it. B-. I can't pack so much in a video, because I go over it. But, hopefully this video is uploaded. So, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.